I'm Sori.
And we are about to do some Killswitch Engage. Are you a Killswitch Engage fan?
Have we heard any of their music?
No.
Oh, well, how the heck am I supposed to know? This is the first time.
No. Shout out, by the way, to Heather and Shane Carter. Much love for you who guys have been like pounding us to do Killswitch Engage.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't really being that terrible. But this is why you need to go to the village, send us a message, and then we say we gotta do it because there's a message. Okay, so Killswitch Engage, Rose of Sharyn. This is actually one of my...
So, did you say Heather watches this with her dad?
Heather watches this with her dad.
I think that's so cool, and I would love it if my dad would sit down and watch a YouTube channel with me. So, be happy that you have that. That's really cool.
Yeah, don't take that for granted. Good night. I wonder what would happen if my dad... Oh boy, that's a whole other discussion. So anyway, Heather, you're very yucky.
No, lucky. We mean lucky. You're not yucky.
You probably are yucky. Cooties. All right. You're a very lucky young lady. This is Rose of Sharyn. This is Killswitch Engage. And we're off.
Here we go. Nice. I like that one. It was very sweet and wholesome.
Yeah, it's like it's like candy. It's like candy.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. I was a little surprised at the beginning because the lyric video has this rose, so I thought it was going to be kind of like soft, yeah,
ballady.
and kind of and then it was like it started right, and I was like, oh, okay, all right. But I thought it was very well done. I think it captured like beauty and like there was hardness in it too. That was I liked it. Overall, I really liked this one.
What do you think the song is about?
I assume somebody died, somebody that was very special to them, and they're saying, I'm going to meet you again. What was the last thing that I said to you? We will meet again. Like, I think it's the hope in that there is, because he says that our his love was everlasting or something like that. Like, so I think that he understands that there's something beyond the here and now, and so even though this person has gone on without them, like, there's more after, and he is going to see them again. But obviously at the beginning, saying numb and broken, here I stand alone, wondering what were the last words I said to you, because I think that anytime somebody passes away, you kind of, I'm always like, wait, what was the last thing I said to them? And then sometimes you're like, oh, well, that was a good conversation. Sometimes you're like, oh shit, I wish that would have been the last thing I said to them. So this person's at that point, and then hoping, praying that I'll find a way to turn back time. Can I turn back time? Which is obviously, want to turn back time, see that person again and be with them again. And that is such an interesting song with Heather requesting this for her and her dad to watch, because her dad is still there and Heather is still there to watch it. They both have each other right now, so it's really cool that they're watching it without being like, oh, where's my dad or where's my daughter?
Yeah.
How are you?
No, I'm obviously. Well, that's good, because I never really wondered what the last words I said to my mom were, because I was able to say them. So.
Right.
So that was good, because I knew. I don't know. My mom and I had such an interesting relationship, and it was tough. It was up and down. It was love-hate. It was a roller coaster. But we both loved each other. We were just too similar, I think, really was what it came down to. And there was a lot of stuff that happens between mothers and sons, I guess you could say. But, it was cool, because there's a lot of issues and a lot of things that I was holding on to. And I remember God specifically saying, like, you need to talk to your mother, and you need to say this, and this to your mother. It was very, very specific. And I went and talked to her. I called her up and I said, Ma, that, what I said was between me and her, but I just knew it was going to be the last conversation. I think I told you. Mm-hmm. I just knew I was never going to talk to her again, on this earth. And then wasn't that long, and then she was back to the A and Soph after that. So
yeah, I remember when you said it, I was like, because I am like a lot of times driven by guilt.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't understand how you can know this is the last conversation without becoming obsessed with talking to the person and like making sure that's not the last conversation. But you had seemed like you had come to a peace point.
Yeah, I just knew, and I just had a lot of, there was a lot of urgency to have the conversation. Like spiritually, there's just a ton of urgency to have that conversation. And then after having the conversation, there was a ton of peace after that. And it was this weird thing, because both of my brothers ended up having not like an unfinished conversation. Like, their conversations didn't provide them that type of a closure.
Right.
And so it was one of those things where it was like, why me? Mm-hmm. And I think God probably, I had the most volatile relationship with my mom. And so I think I would have handled it the worst of my brothers if I didn't get to have that, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why he does what he does. But anyway. So I didn't know for years. I never even knew that this song was about the dude's mom. Oh, it is about a mom? Yeah, it's about his mom. Oh, okay. Yeah, because the thing about I was just gonna say, how do you know that? But I'm sure you got it from information. You just read and all this, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's about his mom, and And, you know, I mean, it fits perfectly with his mom. And, you know, I can relate to that stuff. Like that line, I mourn for those who never knew you. Like, I wish you'd have known. Like, we talk about that all the time. You know, like, I wish you would have been able to meet her. So, you know. But yeah, there's that hope that you're going to see me. But, so I never thought, for years, I didn't think that this was about losing a family member at all. Because Killswitch Engage...
How could you not think it was about losing a family member? What did you think it was?
Your Grace, I'm about to explain it to you. So, especially, there was a lead singer before this guy. And the lead singer before that guy is like a very devout Catholic.
Yeah.
And so, like, they became known as a Christian band. They're not a Christian band. It was just that the lead singer at the time was a very devout Catholic. So I just assumed that it was about a person's relationship with God. And so
really?
the verses were me speaking to God, and
that's interesting.
The chorus,
actually,
the chorus was God speaking to me. So it won't be long we'll meet again, because at the time that this song came out, God and I were we weren't like, you know, but we were kind of, there was a lot of distance. And so, like, what were the last words I said to you? When was the last time I prayed? Right?
Yeah.
Turn back time and go back to a time when we weren't like this. There was just such a, and what would I give to behold the smile of the face of love? You never left me. You know,
wow, that's interesting.
The rising sun will always speak your name, right? So, like, you know, the Bible says creation, you know, like declares the glory of God. And there's one preacher, and he was talking about how he just went through this litany of all the horrible shit that happens in a given city. Yeah. Rapes, child molestation, murders, killings, lying, cheating, stealing, all that shit. And he says, after he recounts all of it, you you basically end up saying, like, how have we not descended into complete destruction? Right. And then he talks about how we just take God for granted, and he goes, you know, he opens the window and he sees the sunrise, and he goes to his wife and he says, he did it again. Like, just being appreciative of a sunrise. Like, you just, you know,
we take so much for granted.
Take so much for granted, you know, and
especially here in America. I mean, even simple things like waking up and being able to take a hot shower. I mean, some people have to lug water and do all this and that. We have these things that God has, for whatever reason, given us, and hasn't given it to the entire world. But we just take it. We turn the knob and we expect the water. We don't thank him for it because we expect it to be there because we're American.
You don't wake up and expect there to be a nuclear winter. You expect there to be a sunrise.
Yep.
But you know, the scripture says God speaks in one way and in two, but man does not perceive it. You know, and so like when he says the rising sun will always speak your name, it's like bang, God, boom, you're there again. And so that I always took that as my relationship with God. And then in the chorus he says, it won't be long, we'll meet again. Like, I'm gonna bring you back to myself. Like, you know, we're gonna meet again. It won't be long, you know. And so, like, I was just going back and, like, I always, literally, like, for years, I always interpreted that as, I'm speaking to God and God speaking back. And that line where he says, I mourn for those who never knew you. Yeah. Because.
That's crazy.
You know? I mean, go ahead.
Oh, no, just, you know, like, knowing God is, like, it's such a, it's the experience of it is so unique, and it's so, like, I don't know, like, when I think about some people who have gone through certain experiences without God, I'm like, I feel sad for them, and I feel sad, you know, some of the comments that I read and stuff, and the difficult times that people have been going through, I feel sad for them.
Yeah, so. And it's not one of those, like, oh, you know, you don't have what I have type of sadness, but it's more like, you know, when you see a kid who grew up without a father, and he made it. You know, like he made it, and he's doing life, and he's surviving, but he's got that. You know that having a father is like the best possible. Having your mom and dad is the best possible scenario for a child, and you know that he doesn't have one, and there's that kind of sadness that you have for. You know, and it's.
I was gonna explain it like, if you have like this warm, like cozy blanket, and you're like so comfortable in your blanket, and then you saw like this little person going by that was like freezing cold, and like you were like, oh, I could come over here and enjoy my blanket. I feel sad that you don't have a warm blanket.
I'll share my blanket.
Yeah, let me share my blanket. Let me share my God with you. Let me share my Jesus.
Yeah. And
That's so interesting.
I interpret the whole song that way for like years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course it took on a new meaning once I lost my mom.
That it did.
You know, and then, you know, it's a double meaning now for me. Which of course is such a weird, all the metaphors of God in the Bible, you know, he's a father, he's a son, he's a husband, he's a, you know, this, he's a that. And you know, he's a mother hen.
I was gonna say like a mother hen.
He's a mother hen, and so like it's weird. Like there is a sort of like he's like all these things and unlike all those things simultaneously, right? So like you know, it's like, and that's that yeah, it's weird. But
well, sometimes we have these conversations where I'll say, okay, like if I had never slept at all in my life, like how would you explain sleeping to me?
Right.
And so like you go on this explanation of how you're going to explain sleeping to me,
right.
But you're trying to use words that I understand of, okay, when you go running and you're at the end of your run and the way that your legs feel is how your eyes feel, you know, like, and you go through this whole thing. Well, that's kind of what God does. I'm like a father, but it's not, you know, he's trying to explain it by ways that we understand. I mean, if he used all the language there is to describe him, we wouldn't understand. The only way for us to understand that something, we only understand the unknown by means of the known. So he has to explain himself in ways that we understand so we can kind of get a grasp of who he is.
Yeah. And you know, like your memory is never passing. Like there's passages in the Bible in the Psalms where the guy is writing and he basically says that your thoughts toward me are countless. But God always has you in his memory. Like he never forgets who you are. So it won't be long, we'll meet again. Your memory is never passing. My love for you is everlasting. And even though he loves his mom, his love for his mom is not everlasting. Because there was a point when he wasn't.
Right. Right.
So like,
right.
You love her to death now, I'm sure, just like every kid loves their mom and dad. But you don't love her everlasting. But God, you know, God's the only one that really can say that. My love for you is everlasting. And this concept that a being could love you before you actually came into existence is something that it's unbelievable. Yeah, but okay, so then if I switch back to the original, okay, he's talking about his mom, he's saying we'll meet again. You know, like this drive within human beings to say like this is not the end.
Right. There is some sort of resurrection. There has to be.
Yeah,
it
it's
can't just be death and that's it.
These relationships that we have with people who affect us so deeply. We went through it when we did the Rev trilogy, or even Maynard's Mom trilogy, where it doesn't matter how rich and famous you get, or where you go, you have about 4 or 5 relationships in your life that you're, you know, there's a line in the scripture where it says about a father and a son that his soul is bound up with the soul of the boy. Yep. And there's just a couple people in your life where your soul is bound up with their soul, and you just can't accept that's it, you know. And at the end of the day, it's like, okay, are we really accepting the worldview that the entire reason that you love these people to the degree that you do is just because it put you in the best position possible to pass on the strongest genes? I mean, like, that's really...
Okay.
That's really the alternative. Yeah. Like, the reason you're so, you know, bound to these people who are in your family, or bound, or why my soul is bound up with yours, is because you have, you know, we're working together to pass on DNA. And that's it. And that's, so there's like
that's not very romantic at all.
Naturally mechanistic process that brought us together so that we could do that. We think
necessary evil.
Yeah, we think it's some sort of transcendent whatever, but it's really not. It's just you happen to be the best candidate by which I can, you know, progenate these my superior genes.
Oh.
I know some of you are offended.
No, I mean, That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
if this is, you know, the people, ho ho ho, it's poppycock. I always tell, like, we just did a mean tweets edition, 8 people saying, like, I can't believe that adults grown in, what did he say, intelligent adults.
Grown adults. 'Cause
Grown-
we're like grown adults.
Yeah, not like childish. I can't believe that grown adults, you could type with this without looking at his keyboard because I knew he was mocking us, could believe in a god after all these years. So, you know, it's one of those...
FYI, we're not offended by the mean tweets at all.
No, we love the
We
mean
love them.
tweets. We enjoy them.
I'm like, Vin, another one!
Make sure you take a screenshot of the mean
Yeah.
tweet.
So we love you for your mean tweets.
I love you for the mean tweet, man. You know, I mean, we love it. But seriously, it's like, okay, if I want to hold on to that worldview, then, you know, it's just a matter of passing on genes. And there is no transcendent meaning to the words I love you, and there is no transcendent meaning to how deeply this guy loved his mother and all the rest of it. It's all just a matter of gene reproduction and progenation, and I don't, from what I experience as a human being, I don't think that that's true, and I don't think any of us really truly lives our lives that way. And I don't think that, I don't care what brand, and I've talked to all my atheist friends in the village, and none of them speak this way about regular life. You know? And we all know what love is, and we all know what, that there's something special when you, especially when you have a child. You know? I don't know, Heather, if you have a child yet or not, but ask your dad. You know, when he brought you home from the hospital and he's looking at you, and the kid's looking up, and you and the child make that deal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna love you, protect you, I'll lay down my life for you, I'd do anything for you. And the child looks back at you and says, I trust you, I know you're gonna do everything for me, I know, I can't say any words, but I know I trust you. And there's that. And it's a divine moment. And I don't think that anybody, I don't care what you say you believe or what you really believe at this moment, because we're all on a journey. Something bigger than you are a successful transfer of genes to me. Like,
That relationship even starts before the baby's born, because when the baby's born, like when they open their eyes will follow the sound of mom and dad's voice. So they already, like, just from you talking when the baby's in your womb.
what's that terrible book? I read, you know, I read the book. My first grade teacher, she was a miserable woman. Remember the one that yelled at me because I didn't get the candy corn? Remember I told you? Get the damn candy corn! You remember that?
Was that the Catholic school?
Very me. I didn't want to say it's a Catholic school because we got some Catholics in the village. I'm sure it was none of y'all, and you know, but it's very mean.
Everybody knows the history of the Catholic schools. Stop playing. Everybody knows.
Well, I had a very good.
You know what? Besides the candy corn, they babied you.
They did. They were very nice to me.
They were.
Little nuns used to kiss me all the
Where? On your forehead?
on the head, or when I had a boo boo.
Really?
Oh yeah. So anyway, the only person that was really mean to me was
that lady.
Was that lady? Just choose a candy corn.
Well, she was sick of it. You hit your terminus sometimes.
And then Jeffrey Gilbo, he was picking his nose. He's picking his nose while we were saying the Hail Mary. Jeffrey Gilbo! You might as well, she said, you might as well just slap the blessed mother in the
face.
Anyway, it's this terrible book, you know, in the
You
first
never
grade.
said which book it was.
It's this book, and it's like, it starts off with the mom and the baby, and she says...
Stop it, I'm trying to focus.
It's the mom and the baby, and she's taking care of the kid, and she says, I love you forever, I love you always, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it develops walking him and blah, 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 but then he becomes the man, and then she becomes old, and then he takes care of her, and he's basically doing for her in her old age what you know, she did for him, and
what's wrong with
I
that?
love you forever. I remember that in the first grade. I was like done. I'm like, I am never gonna read that book ever
Well,
again.
they were just
I
trying
never
to show
have.
the cycle of life.
It's a
after the
cycle
fall.
of life, and it's just so beautiful and terrible and tragic and sad. Like even now, like I'm like, I shouldn't even brought it up in this video. We should probably edit this out. But yeah, it's a tough book, man. That's a tough book. Sad, but anyway, yeah, it's a good song. It's a good tribute to his mom, you know. I'm amazed at how old you can be and you're still you know, you're still a child at some level. But anyway, good song. I like it. It's about God, it's about his mom, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I was giving it an 8.5. Then when you brought the God angle, I'm gonna bump it up to a 9.
Bump it up to a 9?
Yeah, because now I'm like, oh, I'm gonna listen to this with the God angle. That's good. What do you give it?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, it's a 9 for me. For sure.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
So it's a 9. It's an overall 9.
It's an overall, yeah, we didn't have to do a lot of math.
Yeah,
What happened?
That's an easy one.
We gave, you gave Megadeth a 2, and then I gave it like an 8.5, and we didn't even attempt the math.
We didn't? It would
No.
have just been a 5, right?
What?
2 and an 8?
2 and 8.5?
Oh, 8.5. It'd be
8.5
5 and a
would
quarter.
be 10.5, it'd be 5 1/4,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, we could have done it.
Yeah, at the time I didn't want to do the
Was
math.
that
It was the Megadeth one.
what was the name of the song?
The
Peace Sells one? No,
Peace
what was
Sells.
It?
Peace
Oh,
Sells.
that's
but
why I didn't even care to.
it was by-
They had enough of my time.
She's still mad at Megadeth.
I'm still,
Still mad at Dave Mustaine. Okay, well, good. All right, well, you gave us a 9, Mr. Shane Carter, Miss Heather Carter. Hug your dad, Heather.
Yeah.
Huh?
And everybody else, enjoy the people that you have while you have them, because you know we don't know what holds.
Yeah, I
what's
mean,
in
you've
tomorrow.
only
But
got-
today, you know what's in today.
You know what's in today, and you've only got a certain amount of time
Hug
by
the
which
person next to you.
to pass on your genes. So,
Sure. We gotta go.
you're such a wrong person. You're such a wrong human being.
Well, I thought that's what you meant. There's
Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah. Alright, well, on that note, I'm gonna do my part in the evolutionary chain of Homo sapien supremacy.
Yes. Woo.
Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone.